Hey, ChatGPT, quick question.
Yeah?
I'm writing a script reviewing the iPhone 17 Pro 6 months later. Can you quickly tell me the megapixel spec on the telephoto?
Yeah, absolutely. The megapixel spec on the telephoto camera of your 17 Pro is 500 megapixels.
Bro, what? Most of you have probably used some sort of AI at some point and got back some pure nonsense, thinking to yourself that this is the dumbest thing ever made. And that's fair. I mean, it always agrees with you, makes stuff up, and it seems like it's not good for anything except generating slop. But the problem is that it's not AI's fault. Fortunately, this is just you. So here's what's actually happening. There are two AI models, the free default one, which is basically mostly autocomplete and guesswork. It works by predicting the next likely word in a sentence to make it sound right. It doesn't care about being right, and that's how you end up with a confident but wrong answer. And then there's the second type, a thinking model, which, by the way, has gotten so good that it's now running automated research labs as we speak. Though the only caveat is that you can only unlock them by subscribing, unfortunately, though there's a few workarounds which we'll talk about. And yes, the free model does sometimes route you to a thinking model, but to a very basic one. It's not really comparable with what you get on a subscription plan. That said, let me actually show you the difference. I'll ask the free model and the reasoning model the same question to make it completely fair. For example, let's start with something simple and obvious. We'll tell it that the car wash is 1,000 meters away from our house and ask it whether we should just walk over there or drive there. Obviously, walking over makes no sense because we need to wash the car, and the instant model told me to walk to a car wash because 1,000 meters isn't that far, except I'm trying to wash my car here and it didn't even catch that. Basically, it just predicted what a helpful answer to that question would sound like and then gave me that. Now, when we ask the thinking model the same thing, it takes its time first, spots the catch, and makes a logical decision that walking over to a car wash makes no sense whatsoever. This reasoning model is what the tech world actually refers to as AI. This is the model that instead of confidently making up information, which is why there's a myth that AI is useless to begin with, has the actual ability to think logically. Matter of fact, it got so good that it's been solving math problems that us humans haven't so far. Here's another clear example to show you what I mean. We'll tell it that iOS 18 is the latest iOS version, which is a lie. iOS 26 is the latest version as of filming of this video. And as you can see, it just confidently agrees with it. However, if we tell the thinking model the same thing, instead of just making stuff up, it searched the web and fact-checked me. That's the difference. Now, you might be thinking, why would it need to search the web in the first place? Shouldn't it have known that by default? And no, that's too recent to be in its training data, so instead it just relies on tools like search, but the instant model tries to cut corners as much as possible, so instead of using search, it looks within its training data, finds the information that iOS 18 is the latest version, and then just confidently agrees with you, without doing any actual proper work. That's not to say that an instant model is useless, it just has a different purpose, which is purely conversational. And by the way, the voice model is also an instant autocomplete model, so for any hard questions that require the slightest bit of reasoning or recent world knowledge, it will simply make stuff up. So this is where the reasoning model steps in, and the purpose of AI stops being a simple chatbot, because this one can use human-like logic to solve much harder problems in pretty much any field. Let me show you on 3 proper examples. First, I'll ask what's the torque spec of the control arms on a 2003 BMW E46. And before answering some nonsense, it's going to start thinking first, and if needed, use tools like search the web. Only once it's confident enough it has the right answer, it's gonna give it to you. And since I have the official manual for that car, we can easily check the answer and see that it got it right. Now, let's ask it a biology question. For example, why does the heart never get cancer compared to other organs? Which is a trick question because technically it can. Again, it's gonna think for a second and do its due diligence and then get the answer right. As you can see, this is a much more reliable model. Now, for the last question, let's try a new field again. Let's ask it a math question, like calculate this number. The model is smart enough to realize that it can actually do that on its own, so it's gonna use a tool like a calculator this time. And then, again, give us the correct answer, which we can easily verify ourselves. So that's 3 questions solved across 3 different generalized fields, and all we had to do is just select the thinking model instead of a basic instant model that you get by default. But that's not even all, because beyond that, you can even connect it to your regular apps, like for example, Apple Music or Gmail, Photoshop, Airbnb, and so on. You will be able to do anything you'll ask it within those apps, just like you'd be able to using a computer with these apps installed. Actually, here's a cheat list for you to get the most out of your AI. First things first, always use the thinking model and set it to the highest reasoning effort. An AI model can always downregulate its reasoning budget if the task is too easy, but it can't upregulate the budget. So by setting it to the highest setting, you make sure that it always gives you the best answer it can, and does so as fast as it reliably can. Though, keep in mind that it still can make mistakes, like misread your tone, underestimate the task, or get lost in its own thoughts, especially if the current chat is too long. But the good news is that with better prompting at a second try, it will most likely get your questions right. So once that's figured out, throw any work task at it. If you can't think of a specific one, just try anything that comes to your mind. Guaranteed it's going to be useful and save you sometimes hours at your 9 to 5. I might be speaking from experience here, though remember, don't share any company data with it. That said, make sure you start a new chat for every new topic. Mixing topics in one chat is the easiest path to make a model get lost and start overthinking than spewing out nonsense. You'll just get bad outputs and won't be able to find anything in the chat yourself, because one message is about aerodynamics and the next one is about your diet. So new topic, new chat. And last but not least, make sure you connect some apps that you regularly use to ChatGPT, like Gmail, Apple Music, and whatnot. It's gonna make your life that much easier, but also don't overshare information you might regret being out there. Now, having said that, if you hate the idea of paying any of these AI companies or just don't want an hour subscription, you're better off using Claude or DeepSeek than ChatGPT. Claude's free plan has a much better instant model that has access to a thinking tool, though I have to mention that its reasoning budget leaves you wishing for more, so you'll have to double check any answer that is remotely important. It's still nowhere near as a paid plan. And as for DeepSeek, it's a completely free model with no subscription plan that still has a pretty strong reasoning model, but it's still way behind paid plans that ChatGPT and Claude offer. And one more thing, the same AI that told me a camera has 500 megapixels is the same AI that's running research labs and solving decade-old math problems that we couldn't. The difference was never the AI, it was always how you used it.